setting, don't trust your hearing. You made a monster, I'm your imposter. Go ahead and wander, but don't trust the water. I'm a member of the deep.
Well, hello everyone and welcome to race meeting number 8 of the World Touring Car Series. This time it comes at you from the home of British motorsport. It needs no introduction, but it's Silverstone. My name's Connery Manick. I'm joined this time around by the ever lovely Will Chadwick. Will, it seems like you're going to have to know this circuit like the back of your hand, at least for your upcoming commitments in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Contender Series. But we get TCR racing action here at the Silverstone circuit, and not just at Silverstone, at the international layer as well.
Yeah, it's often underused, the international layout. I believe it was supposed to be used for the 2020 British Touring Car season, which would be a change from normally when they run national, but that was axed because of all the COVID restrictions and stuff. But yeah, often underused. Used a bit in club racing with inside the UK, but definitely an interesting challenge for the drivers, especially with turn 5 being a little bit off camber.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And it's going to be a fast and furious lap time as well around here. Having a look at the practice times, they are around about 1 minute 9 seconds, 1 minute 10 seconds seems to be around the mark where most of everyone is at. So that's going to be factoring in to this. Lots of close quarters action potentially going to be going on. But yeah, we are solidly inside the second half of the season now here at Silverstone. We've only got Road Atlanta, Mount Panorama, otherwise known as Bathurst, Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, and of course new to iRacing, Fuji Speedway, coming up in November time as our finale as well. So yeah, well, the shortest circuit of our remaining ones here, Will, that's for sure.
Yeah, and the field spread really isn't too far. I mean, last time out we were seeing in qualifying maybe a field spread of 3 to 3.5 seconds, but here at the minute in qualifying it's only 1.7. So that probably gives us more chance to see an upset. Obviously, it is a shorter track, but I think it's slightly more forgiving than Belle Isle was last week.
Yeah, Belle Isle, of course, we had our third safety car of the season. Hopefully, we won't be having any from this point forwards. However, I think that is tempting fate at this stage, especially when you have Bathurst there on the calendar as round number 10. High likelihood of an incident on the mounting, bringing everything to a halt. However, here at Silverstone International, I don't think that's necessarily going to be a problem. Here's a look at the championship standings. Here's the pro standings as Kreningin is continuing his good run of form. Of course, had a little bit more of a struggle in that previous round at Belle Isle, all things considered. But he is still leading the way by a quite considerable margin, over 100 points from Ross McFarlane. And then we've got Steen Ledger in third place there as well. Things tighten up a little bit for fourth place between Savidovic and Rushworth. Then you've got Butler, Freitas, Stolzenberg, Harrison and Holman running out the top 10. Having a look at the AM standings then, this is the one that we've been paying very close attention to, and we do have a change of leader coming into today. Benjamin Gregory on 709 points leads the AM standings. Then Stefan Schlacker in second place. Got word that potentially he might not be taking part today. We'll just have to wait and see. Stephen Daly in P3 there. Of course, he was leading the championship into Belle Isle, but after a really torrid day for that RD Simsport car, he does slide down the order quite considerably. Dan Martin there in fourth place with Lee Berridge, Mark Johnson, Harry Fox, Michael Blake, Scott Malcolm and Nick Clibbons round out the top 10 here. That's AM Championship ever competitive. Let's have a look at the teams though. Pure Sims Esports lead the way on 2,851 points, followed by DKC by SimRC, then SimLab, Pure Sim SimLab in third place, Team BGC in fourth with the two RD cars in fifth and sixth in the standings there. Semper, Boosted, Ignium and Team Mad will round out the order, but things looking still, well, the gap between Pure Sims and SimRC at the moment is pretty much the gap between Trenton Guinness and Ross McFarlane in the pro standings. It's around about that 100-point mark.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting going into the latter half of the season. SimRC definitely can catch that gap, I've got no doubt about it, especially with Guinness and Harrison both being really, really strong as of lately. You know, Harrison's provisionally on pole position for the second week running, and he's definitely showing a bit of a challenge for Guinness, but like I said, in the team's championship that's only going to help them, so it's going to be interesting to the end of the year. I think because of the field spread tonight, we're likely to see more chance of an upset potentially from maybe, we're hoping for a full regress grid. I know me and Connery we're going to keep our fingers crossed when the wheel spin happens, but yeah, I think we could see an upset tonight, but I don't see anyone jumping Harrison or Guinness for the first race tonight.
It's Trenton Guinness, second place here in qualifying at the moment. Kieran Harrison besting him in this situation across the line. Guinness not able to improve. So about 7/700ths of a second slower than his fastest lap time there. Wojciech Savidovic across the line does not improve either, at 2/10 off of his fastest time. A couple of drivers diving their way down towards the pit lane, but that's a lap from Konstantin Stolzenberg. He gets himself up onto the front row of the starting grid, and well, he's pulled that one out of the bag for sure, and only a couple of hundredths behind Harrison's time. That's a stonking effort from the driver of number 8 as the 79 of Rafael Drage heads his way through the final corner of Club and across the line. Doesn't improve, about 400ths off of that.
I'm almost certain Stolzenberg will have been tuned in, listening to my commentary, saying about how I don't think anyone's going to jump SimRC. And there you go. What a time from Stolzenberg. I mean, that's really put him in the mix now. I mean, let's face it, around here, with the amount of tow that you're going to get in these touring cars, there's nothing to put between those top 6 cars. You know, the pace of their individual one-lap pace will not matter one bit, because the tow is worth way, 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 way more than that. So I do think we're going to see quite an interesting fight for the lead in this first race.
Indeed. Well, it's worth noting that drivers that weren't taking part in that qualifying session will start towards the back of the grid. So that'll be Nathan Armes, Lloyd Carabia, Pete Newman, Jake Blackall, Craig Williams, Neil Ferrier, Rob Turner and Sean Gardner. They start at the very back of the grid for race number 1. Speaking of, let's get ourselves to the starting grid for this first race. It will be Kieran Harrison on pole position for this one. And then it's Konstantin Stolzenberg that's on that front row as well, with an absolutely stellar qualifying time right at the dying moments of the session. Puts that Team PGZ car up onto the front row. Splits the DKC by SimRC cars, as Karen Guinness now has to start third, with Steen Ledger and Ross McFarlane fourth and fifth. Jürgen Frank on the outside of row 3 there in sixth. Esteban Rodriguez in P7 with Wojciech Savidovic in P8. P9 goes to Damien Owen Harris with Morgan Butler starting 10th. Bram Van Putten starts in P11 with Jamie Rushworth in 12th. Jason Landry starts 13th with Jaroslav Sebula in P14 with Alex Torres in 15th. James Holman starts 16th with Dominic Kortum in 17th. Marcel Fritsch starts 18th. In 19th, we have Nick Clibbons with Rafael Drage in P20. We've got P21 going to Mark Johnson with P22 on the start of the grid going to Daniel Martin, then Lee Berridge and Anders Ankerson round out the top 24 spots. Harry Fox will start 25th with Luke Kidsley 26th, Sam Smith in 27th with Benjamin Gregory, our AM class leader now, starts in 28th, a bit deeper in the field than you would have liked, I would have thought. Stephen Daly in P29 with Neil Stevenson P30. Then towards the back of the order, we're getting those that, starting to get towards those that have the back of the grid penalties. You've got John Roberts there in 31st, Carl Johnson. Then you've got Dan Backwell with Rob Sutherland. Then Michael Blake, and then the first of your non-qualifiers, Nathan Armes. Then you've got everyone with back of the grid penalties. Rabia, Newman, Blackpool, Williams, Ferrier, and Turner. Got Sean Gardner as well as the 43rd starter here at the Silverstone International Circuits. We're seconds away though from getting ourselves race meeting number 8 underway here at the home of British Motorsports. I'm very thankful you're able to be here with us for this touring car action. We're off and away down towards Abbey. Kieran Harrison getting himself a good start there. Stolzenberg immediately on the defensive there. Brennan Guinness looking all over his tail on the way in towards turn number 1. There's going to be the opportunity now for Guinness to get himself towards the inside for P2. In, on the brakes in towards the village corner. Last of the late breakers into here. Guinness slings it down and in, and Stolzenberg's not able to maintain the overlap. It's 2 by 2, deeper in the pack, deeper in the midfield as we cut our way through straight onto the hangar straight.
Yeah, it was a much better start from Guinness. Was very forceful but accurate with the move. Did a really good job. We also saw a little mistake from Kieran Harrison as well into turn number 3, which cost him a little bit of time. But I don't see anyone getting away with the toe at the front.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to keep everyone together here as we see battling further back in the pack. We've got Morgan Butler and Damien Owen Harris. Oh, that's someone. Oh, Stephen Daly. He's off out into the gravel. Oh, this can't be a repeat of what happened at Belle Isle for Stephen Daly. He's off on the first lap here at Silverstone. That's going to be very important as far as the AM Championship is concerned here. Yet more scrapping though back in the, basically everywhere you look. You got Landry. Oh, there's been a big incident in towards turn number 1. Landry is off. Same with, didn't quite catch the name. No, Bram Van Putten also had the incident as well.
Yeah, a lot of very close racing here. It looks very raceable, this car around this circuit, and you can see it's already causing a little bit of chaos. Really, really unlucky for Stephen Daly. I'm sure he'll be kicking himself for whatever happened, whether it was his fault or wasn't, but I'm sure he'll be back for race 2 stronger than ever.
Yeah, it's just going to have to be another rather difficult day for Stephen Daly at this point. He had such a stellar start to the season, but things have become undone slightly as we're seeing Bram Van Putten continue on the battles. He's trying to get himself alongside of Marcel Fritsch on the way in towards Stoke Corner. And there's Harry Fox around. Oh, that's a damaged car and takes the tow back towards pit lane and, might not be out to complete race number 1. They do have a fast repair as we go on the brakes in towards the Vale as, Marcel Fritsch gets a little bit of a check there from Van Putten, and here comes Jason Landry trying to get back through.
Also had an incident for, I believe, Nathan Ames, who'd made up 12 positions on the opening lap, and just some sort of coming together on the straight line, which has ended up having Ames into the barrier, and that's him out of the race. So unlucky for him as well, really.
Yeah, the rate of attrition here is, everyone's been in the wars, shall we say. As Nadi Smith got car wide, that was Dan Martin, and, trying to fight with Lee Berridge. Now Berridge just filed back into the battle with Van Putten once again, and Van Putten seems to be involved in everything here at the moment, around the outside, on the cut through onto the hangar straight, and he has been able to gain that position quite comfortably. So put Van Putten up one more spot here on his a bit of recovery after that initial start. And it has been pretty chaotic here, and the chaos continues potentially up front, at least not up front, but at least at front of this pack, as Draj and Klibben's got very, very close to Stowe.
Yeah, everywhere you look, there's a little bit of action going on, which is what we like to see. Up front, again, looking rather stagnant, the gaps. Let's have a look at this replay, see what happened to Harry Fox. A little bit of door banging, a lot of door bang. I'm not going to call that one. I'll leave that one to the stewards, but that looked rather interesting from my point of view.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there was a wheel off in that situation. Yeah. Rolling down the circuit there as well.
You won't want to hit that.
Model. Yeah, I mean, in real life, they're ghosted now here in iRacing, the debris after incidents. But it used to be when remember when the first damage model got first released, where bits of debris was collidable. That was chaotic, to say the least, in week 13. But there's Nathan Armes. There's the incident that you were talking about there, Will, and got into a bit of a tangle. Ooh.
Yeah, a very odd incident. I'm not really quite sure if it was just a misunderstanding between the drivers. I was certain that Armes gave enough room, at least through the initial corner. Not quite sure what happened on the straight following, and it's not what you want to see, really, for Sim RC, who are wanting to obviously make some points up in the team championship. However, with Jürgen Frank, Corentin and Kieran Harrison up high, and not even that far back as well for Bram van Putten, they've still got a good chance of scoring quite a few points today.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't count them out of this situation. Still a decent way in this race to go as well. We are just about a quarter of the way through here, and well, after this one, we'll have 2 more races of 20 minutes as well. So plenty of racing here to come on RaceSpotTV in the World Touring Car Series. It's been quite chaotic so far, like I said before, and everyone keeping themselves in their drafting pack for the most part, at least here at the very front. Harrison is trying his best to break away. He's got half a second back to his teammate now, Guinness. But let's see if he's successful in his own escapades there, as we get a bit of wheel-to-wheel here. Bram van Putten and Mark Johnston. That's Johnston, the leader in the AM class at the moment.
Quite feisty for our AM leader here. If it was me and I was leading my class, I might just decide to sit back a little bit. But wanting to get as many positions as possible, obviously there's always that chance that you may miss out on reverse grid by 1 spot. So I can see why you'd want to still make up the spots on the pro class. So it's all to fight for. But yeah, nice to see a bit of aggression from our AM drivers.
Well, you do also have to keep in mind they're all competing for the same points here. So even though they are different classes, they are still competing for the same points. It's the points are given out based off of overall position, not on class position. So they're all the same points in the end as Clibbons and Landry go wheel to wheel through the first sector. There's a little bit of contact between the two of them as well, but that is, well, you have to become used to that here in TCR racing. Clibbons is going to get the run and the slipstream coming down the hangar straight. He looks towards the outside to Stowe, and they get a bit too close for comfort. You can't side draft in these cars, well, at least effectively in these cars, and Clibbons just gets into the back of Landry there. I think these guys have had something go on earlier. That's why they're getting up in each other's throats now.
Yeah, it still remains the same positions, but the rest of the pack in this section of the track have got in on the action. 2 wide through the final chicane. Club here, and seem to have got the move done. Not quite sure who that was in the boosted car, but good move.
It's Ben Gregory. Landry just
this is
about
really close.
Yeah, Landry just about held it on the inside. Who's this though? That's Sam Smith trying to steam it up the inside of all of them. There's been contact between Clibbons and Jason Landry through Abbey, and well, Clibbons is still off the circuit, by the way. Has to rejoin. He's out onto the AstroTurf now, and it's just a swarm of cars behind him. Someone almost spun in the middle of traffic. That was Locrabia. Who else is off? I think Fritsch is off as well. Jason Landry is parked and takes the tow. Back to pit lane. It's a task to try and keep on top of all this, Will.
You couldn't, honestly, if you told me I'd just tuned into ITV4 and it was race 3 of the British touring cars for the weekend, I would not be surprised whatsoever, because that was proper British or touring car style driving. Very, very feisty, and yeah, unfortunately a few people got caught up in incidents, but we do like to see some close racing, and it's always a little bit more contact in TCR than you would get in like Formula cars, for example.
Yeah, just saw driver dive on towards the pit lane. Not entirely sure who that might... Oh, it's Locrabia. Locrabia came down and in. Of course, these drivers do have themselves one fast repair to use in each of the 3 races here today to get themselves a brand new car if they come down on towards the pit lane. But of course you lose a whole bunch of time in doing so, given there are no scheduled stops in this series. Here's Ross McFarlane towards the inside of Jürgen Frank, though, as Frank tries the defense on the way down in towards Stowe Corner. He's going to have to do it around the outside, though, on the defense, does Frank, which is not the easiest thing to do around the outside of Stowe, but he seems like he's been able to manage it. And it does gift him the inside, the preferred line for the Vale, but does Ross McFarlane swing it in there? Of course he does. He maintains the overlap in towards the second apex. That gives him the inside now in towards Club Corner. Should be able to slide up in front of that SimRC car, but oh, not quite. Jürgen Frank still there. This battle continues on as we ride on board with Esteban Rodriguez, who really commits to the corner.
Yeah, that was some brilliant racing. Really, really close, you know, nothing given too much to the other driver. Yeah, it was really nice racing from those two. And of course, they're now fighting for almost like best of the rest of the not in the tow for the front pack group. And McFarlane wanting to limit points lost to Guinness again, but it's looking increasingly more likely as the season goes on that Guinness is going to start extending this championship lead race on race.
Well, the only thing that will kill Guinness's momentum in this championship is unlucky situations resulting from reverse grids. As far as a race one is concerned, he is, you know, definitely up there inside the top two. We've seen his dominant leads over the course of this season as well. In these sorts of situations, it is Harrison that leads at the moment, though, with Guinness about 9/10 of a second behind him. But yeah, another good point haul potentially from this race one for Quentin Guinness, as we're still looking back at this train with McFarlane, with Frank, with Rodriguez, 5th, 6th and 7th. You can count Savidovic and Butler in this as well, but they haven't been pressing on too much. I will say though, you know, there's the secondary pack there. As far as the leading pack is concerned, though, Steen Ledger has really been applying the heat to Stolzenberg as we ride on board with Butler.
Yeah, Stolzenberg and, you know, Stolzenberg has also been applying the pressure on Guinness. It's actually Guinness who can't quite keep up with Harrison, really, it would seem at this moment in time. Not sure, a few little mistakes has crept in, which has cost him a little bit of time. Maybe the Hyundai Elantra is just working a little bit better than the Veloster around here today. I'm not quite sure, but definitely seems that Harrison has that little pace advantage, and it's quite impressive that he's been able to keep the gap where it is, above 0.5 of a second for the entirety of the race, despite you know, a lot of tow opportunities. You know, I don't imagine dirty air in these cars is that extreme around here. So yeah, really impressive performance so far from Kieran Harrison with 8 minutes to go.
Yeah, and if there's a battle going on for second place, it might just seal Kieran Harrison's race win here in race number 1. But remember, we have 2 more after this with the reverse grids to consider as well. Random reverse grids, of course, so we will be doing the spinny random number generator after this event concludes, so that we can figure out who gets the reverse grid pole position for the second race here today. There's Daniel Martin, a little bit deeper in the pack. He's let's see, he's down overall, he should be 23 thereabouts. Currently ahead of John Roberts and behind Luke Kidsley, as he's found himself a good battle pack to sell into, hasn't he?
Yeah, well, Daniel Martin was one of our star performers of last week. He was consistently really good around the Belle Isle circuit. I'm pretty sure he put it on pole, won, I think, 2 of the 3 AM races, if I'm not mistaken, and definitely made a charge towards the championship lead with all the issues that the other drivers had. But here today, doesn't quite seem to have the pace of the likes of Gregory, Johnston, and probably Berridge as well. So maybe a little bit of damage limitation, at least in this first race, because, you know, anything can happen as we go forward. 23 may be the lucky number, and he might be able to get reverse grid pole. You never know.
Well, a lot of the drivers will be relying on that random number generator to turn out in their favour. Who was that flashing lights behind? I believe. Well, it was an orange car, and well, that's one of the only ones here in the series. Is going to be Craig Williams from Craig's setup shop, of course. And well, we didn't get to see him at Belle Isle as he sends a move down to the inside there. He is the only Audi in this field, and continuing to stick with the Audi as well, which is fantastic to see. And he gets the move done on Dan Blackwell there.
Yeah, absolutely respect someone who goes for the bit of the odd car out. It would be, wouldn't it? Because it does seem like the Elantras and the Velosters and even the Civic have an advantage over the Audi, but I really do like seeing all the different manufacturers here represented, and big up to Craig for repping it really well.
And Craig, apart from Rob Turner, well, Craig Williams is the second best mover in this race so far. He's up 13 spots compared to where he started. Rob Turner, though, in number 48, he's up 17 spots compared to where he started. Oh, there's a bit of a situation there in and around Lee Berridge coming through the final corner. There was John Roberts, trying to get himself down the inside there, but just gets a door full of number 54 on the outsides there. Dan Martin got himself through fine on that one, but it's kind of distracted from the live feed there, so not entirely sure what arose in and amongst that grouping to trigger that.
And here comes Rob Turner again to pick up even more positions. You'd like to say he's got a lot of pace here today, it would seem. 42nd to 25 is no mean feat, especially as an AM. And he's running, half a second, if not a little bit less, off Harrison's pace up front, who seems to be almost easily controlling this race. So yeah, really a lot of pace here for Turner, and it's interesting to see if he can start to pick his way through past Berridge and Roberts as well.
Well, he's going to try and go for the position on Berridge in towards the Vale. There's a bit of a door check through the middle of the corner. Turner can't find the ground on the outside whatsoever, though, so we'll have to relinquish the attempt for now. Side by side ahead of these guys, though, Sam Smith versus Luke Kidsley on their way down in towards turn 1, and well, through Abbey they come. Kidsley able to keep himself that position gained, actually, over Sam Smith, and Sam Smith's now going to come under threat from Dan Martin towards the outside. Oh, there's contact into the corner, more contact off the corner, but with a different driver. That was John Roberts.
Yeah, a little bit of door banging through there, and it's still continuing a little bit, from bumper to rear as they go down onto the Wellington Straight.
Hangar Straight. Am I right? It's the Hangar Straight, because we skipped out the Wellington Straight entirely.
Yeah. I'm going to say the Hangar, and I was like, no, not that one. No. Seemed to be wrong. But Roberts to the inside, aggressively, making sure he keeps his nose in, side by side here through Stowe. Trying to remember corner names. A little bit of door banging as well in towards the club section. And so Dan Martin still holds on to it. Every point to play for here.
Leading pack. Guinness, Ledger, side by side. Looks like Stolzenberg's been able to work his way through here on Current and Guinness, and now Guinness has now tried to put up the stern defense back to Steen Ledger. I wonder what happened amongst that grouping there. I think Stolzenberg on the previous lap was able to complete the move fair and square into the Vale, and look at the defense from Guinness all the way to the inside coming through Stowe, but he can't defend from Ledger on that inside there. Ledger got there before he could really do anything about it. Guinness will get himself the run off the corner, though, potentially to make this happen on the brakes in towards the Vale. Guinness trying to come back at Steen Ledger through this tight sequence of corners. Looks to the up and under. Can't quite time it good enough, although he does get himself to the inside for Club. And now Ross McFarlane might find himself in this one as well to pick up a couple of points.
Yeah, McFarlane's now on the scene here, and that's obviously the closest challenger to Guinness in the championship. Very, very inside line for Guinness. Looks a little bit rattled here almost, I would say, because, the previous lap, he lost the position to Stolzenberg by going too late on the brakes. Happened again the previous lap. Now lost the place to Ross McFarlane. He's got his teammate Jürgen Frank behind. The two Pure Sims cars were going three wide into turn number 5. A little bit of contact. I don't know how they're still going. I
don't know how they've been able to manage that. And look at this. Esteban Rodriguez has got almost got one position. The lane's blocked for him. We're almost 4 wide. I think that's officially 4 wide down the Hangar Straight with the slow car. Ross McFarlane. Why is Ross McFarlane slow? He's dropping down the order. What has happened to him? Steen Ledger now, in the middle, 3 wide through Stowe corner.
And that's going to be a slowdown for Guinness.
Yeah, that might be a slowdown. You can't cut to the outside. It is a slowdown there for Guinness. There's Savinovic heading his way through. Ross McFarlane getting himself back through. I think Ross McFarlane might have had a slowdown penalty there.
Guinness
around. All sorts of chaos here at Silverstone. through the Vale, and we still got 1:14 to go. That's potentially 2 laps, you know.
Yeah, that could be 2 laps, like you say. Could also be the last. No, that will be 2 laps, I believe. And that's gone from bad to worse for Guinness there. You know, just got caught up initially in those battles with Stolzenberg, and then, yeah, after getting the slowdown into club, holding that inside line. Got the Pure Sims car. I'm not quite sure who that was. Just goes to the inside, and I'd have to watch that back from my own angle to see whether I could. I won't put any blame on anyone, but yeah. Obviously, the benefit of these touring cars is you can just plant the throttle and carry on going. So not the end of the world, but definitely not what Guinness would have wanted.
Yeah, Jürgen Frank trying to defend now 3rd place from Steen Ledger. That's a crazy improvement there from Jürgen. Ledger getting the speed off the corner, though. He's going to make a challenge of it down into the Vale. And we've seen drivers hang it around the outside here before to get themselves to the inside for the second apex and then the inside for Club Corner. Seems to be the plan of action for most of these drivers as we head our way across the line to start the final lap. Someone who's laughing all the way to the points bank is Kieran Harrison at the moment. But look at this fight for 3rd place between Jürgen Frank and Steen Ledger. Look at the speed that Steen Ledger is able to carry through, taking the more optimal line. But on the brakes into Village now, as well, Rodriguez, Steen Ledger's teammate, in behind, also looking pretty threatening at this stage as well. McFarlane also on the recovery after that little awkward situation just a lap ago. Coming out of the well, the cut-through corner, I'm calling it now at the moment, as they're down the hangar straight. This is where the slipstream becomes oh so potent, and let's see if Jürgen Frank can hold on to this position, because he's got a bit of an armada of Pure Sims esports cars behind, including the SimLab variant, as Jürgen Frank making that car so wide, not letting anyone through whatsoever. Steen Ledger looking to the outside in towards the Vale once again, just like his attempt last lap, but is not able to get that one done. Kieran Harrison has come across the line to take the race win. Side by side in behind in the pack though, as Rodriguez, he went up over the curb, coming up through Club. They come across the line in a disorganized fashion. Further down the field, there's also battles that have yet to resolve themselves as well, but what a final couple of laps there that we saw at the front. My word. That was absolutely crazy. So what seems to have happened there on the last lap with Guinness, because obviously we saw Guinness drop to position, it looks like Morgan Butler got a slowdown off the back of that pack, had to slow down obviously to give it up, defending from Guinness. Guinness has hit the back of him, gone wide, got another slowdown as we see another incident on screen, and that's cost him another position to Damien Owen Harris as well. So that's 10th place for Guinness. So really not the result he was looking for there. Yeah, and he was looking so good in a 2nd place for the vast majority, of this race. It just seems that, well, it just goes to show that how quickly it can all become undone, and you start falling back through the order. But we got to sort out our reverse grid for race number 2. What's it going to be, though? We've got 43 drivers. If it lands on the logo, that does mean full reverse grid, by the way, just in case you're unsure. But cycling through, we're going to get a small one. I think it is, again, 12-car reverse grid. And that means Jamie Rushworth is pending penalties and things like that, of course. Jamie Rushworth, reverse grid pole position sitter. And that works out, actually, that's going to be a saving grace for Quentin Guinness. Yes. He only starts on 2nd row now. Well, yeah, providing, like you said, he should get that. No penalty. Well, potentially, if he has any penalties served, maybe that would mean he wouldn't get it. But going to be a decent starting position for Guinness, and Rushworth off pole. Well, Kieran Harrison, there's the unofficial race results, of course. All the results are reviewed after the event by Race Control, but Kieran Harrison takes the race win here for race 1, and Konstantin Stolzenberg surprised us with a great qualifying, and, well, he's able to convert that into a 2nd place as well for the Team PGZ Motorsports car, so that's fantastic stuff for Stolzenberg. Jürgen Frank as well, getting himself on the podium here today. We've got Steen Ledger and Ross McFarlane rounding out the top 5 cars. Wojciech Swidovic in 6th place with Esteban Rodriguez in P7. Morgan Butler P8, Damien Owen Harris P9, and Quentin Guinness, after running 2nd pretty much all day, finishes down in 10th place. James Holman P11 with Jamie Rushworth P12. Alex Torres and Bram Van Putten round out 13th, 14th. 15th goes to Dominic Corton with Rafael Draws in 16th, Jaroslav Sebula in 17th. Then you get to your AM. Mark Johnson actually takes the race win in AM. It was so chaotic there at the very end, we didn't really get a chance to talk about it. Sorry, Mark, but you do get yourself AM Class win with Ben Gregory there. AM Class 2nd place with Daniel Martin, AM Class 3rd place. Then everyone else overall positions. Sam Smith in 21st. We got Luke Kidsley 22nd. John Roberts and Lee Berridge down to 24th. And then everyone else, Neil Ferrier, Craig Williams, Dan Blackwell, Rob Turner, Pete Newman, and Michael Blake rounds at the top 30. And we get ourselves the bottom end of the top 40. So that's Sean Gardner, Neil Stevenson, Rob Solan, Nick Clibbens, Marcel Fritsch, Carl Johnson, Luke Rabia, Jason Landry, Harry Fox, Nathan Armez. A lot of these drivers towards the tail end retiring from this event. Anders Enkerson, one of them. Stephen Daly with a lap 1 incident that sealed his fate, and Jake Blackhall as well down in P43 did not take the start. So there we go. We've got race 1 in the books there. That was I wouldn't say messy, but at the same time I think I would say messy first race, at least compared to what we saw from race 1's previous, shall we say. It seemed to be quite a bit more competitive, quite a bit more fighting, at least for a race 1. We usually see more ambitious moves and things like that happen with the reverse grids in race 2 and 3.
I'll simply describe it as touring cars, I think is the way to describe that one. It was close, bit of pushing, bit of shoving, but usually, when you look at touring car racing across the world, it is a bit more accepted for a little bit of contact, a little bit of leaning on each other. So, I think a majority of the driving was fair enough, and it was a good race to start the day. Obviously, you're seeing the advantage of the slipstream, the closer grids. Something that I didn't mention at the time, but when we were having those really large battles towards the end of the race, they were running like 3 seconds a lap slower, which is a massive margin. That's pretty much slower than everyone else on the grid, just from all the battling that they were doing. So there's no wonder that we saw, a couple battles for Guinness, where he was clear from McFarlane for quite a while by a couple of seconds. A few battles later, McFarlane's on the scene, then everyone else starts turning up as he tries to hold the positions, and then you saw it really, really went wrong for Guinness there. But with the points buffer he has in the championship, you can kind of afford to have those sort of races. It's not ideal, but it's not the end of the world, especially with the 100 points buffer. Obviously losing out a little bit to Ross McFarlane in that one, with Ross finishing 5th, I believe, or 6th. But he's going to be fine. Starting from 3rd in this one. Likely to take the race lead, I imagine, providing that is where they start and there's no penalties applied after. And I guess we'll see where it goes from there. But I can definitely see Harrison coming through, because he just seemed to have that extra half tenth on the whole of the field.
Yeah, he was really the only car that was able to break clear out of pretty much all of them. And that's very tough to do here on the Silverstone International Circuit. It's pretty much, constant drafting, apart from maybe bits of the first sector, and then of course into the Vale. Everywhere else, you're just sitting up behind a car and just letting them pull you along. So yeah, that was very impressive from Kieran Harrison. However, it's one thing being fast in clear air. When it comes to traffic, it can be a bit of a different ball game sometimes. So it'd be very interesting to see how he actually negotiates these passes.
Yeah, I think at least what I tend to see, I think SimRC tend to get slightly better starts from what I've seen. Maybe they've just I know the touring car has launch control. I'm still unsure whether they use it or not, but you can set the revs high, low, for whatever you want for that. It's like a tuning option within the car. So potentially they just have a little bit better understanding and development of what they do on their start. So I wouldn't be surprised seeing Guinness lead into turn 3. I really wouldn't into this next race. Also bodes well for the other pure SimRC cars of Harrison starting in 12th position as we think he will do. But yeah, I think overtaking is definitely easier than it was at Belle Isle. So I wouldn't put it past Harrison to get into those top 3 positions and potentially challenge for the lead depending on what happens.
Yeah, again, it's one of those things where we're always saying, oh, we just have to wait and see, because we definitely cannot judge it, at least at this point. However, there's a little bit different situation here at Silverstone compared to somewhere like Belle Isle, is that you have an absolute wealth of overtaking opportunities here. You can overtake into potentially turn 1 if you're brave, main 1 into turn 3 of Village. You can get it done into Stowe if you wanted to. You can get it done into the Vale. So pretty much every major braking zone, that's that's an opportunity. And even then, Stowe is not a major braking zone. It just happens to be at the end of a long straight where you can sling it around the outside or inside. So yeah, it's definitely different from Belle Isle in that way. So I think there'll be more ample opportunity for drivers to work their way through here, just like we saw some of the back of the grid starters do.
Yeah, definitely going to be more overtaking than we'll see at Contender Series at the weekend, because those cars aren't necessarily easy to follow with. But yeah, I think we're going to have a good race again. Obviously, we're always hoping for a bit of a larger reverse grid, but I'm sure Guinness won't be unhappy with that one that pulled out the hat. I mean, we still got the chance into race 3. We're still going to have another roll. We're still hoping for the logo to come up and we can see a full reverse grid, especially with 40 cars. And yeah, I'm excited. Have we got the server launching, I believe?
Well, that's actually what I was double checking in this one, just to make sure that everyone is all set and the servers has been set up. I'm not seeing it at the moment, at least on my screen, but I am. But we'll be in relatively shortly once everything is sorted out. But just want to talk about Guinness, because again we saw touched on it at the very end of the race there. It's so comfortable, second place all day every day in that one. Yes, he had pressure from Stolzenberg. However, he wasn't quite able to hold on, from that pressure, was he? Because Stolzenberg actually got past him fair and square into the Vale. We didn't see it on the live cameras, but I went back and looked at it myself. And ever since then, he seemed a little bit rattled and just got caught up in everything that was going on behind.
He wouldn't. I don't think he'll be blaming other people, to be honest, because it was his own small mistakes which just led to a bit of a snowball effect, really. Because it was a small mistake, him out braking himself to let Stolzenberg have the chance into the Vale in the club section, but then it got worse when who was in third? I can't remember now who was coming through in second. Anyway, got worse again when he had more battles, and then it just ended up pushing him further and further back. I think it was Steen Ledger, wasn't it? So pushed him further and further back, and then we saw what happened. It was very unlucky, but almost kind of self-inflicted from the start. But he's a great driver, and he'll come back really strong. I've got no doubt about that, and I don't think it'll dent his confidence one bit.
I mean, it's hard to dent your confidence when you have over 100-point lead in the championship, isn't it? It's just like, I'll just take it as stride. But however, in a way, that is also kind of risky because, it means you get complacent a little bit potentially. I'm not saying he is, but that's just, there's risks that come with, taking that sort of attitude. So, I'm hoping that this isn't an overall trend for Guinness, given that, of course, he didn't have the most fantastic of performances at Belle Isle either. But someone who is hoping that this is a trend, Ross McFarlane.
Yeah, it's always that type of thing, isn't it? You don't want to be the one wanting a mistake in a championship because you really want to control it. So Guinness is more than happy in the position that he's in because he gets to control the championship, and it's his performances. He's definitely still got the pace. He's not lost the pace or anything. He's still as quick. We saw him qualify third place. He showed really good pace for the majority of that race and just ended up getting caught in battles which pushed him back. It wasn't pace deficit. It was the fact that he got in those battles. Something we haven't really touched on was the AM class. We saw some really big movers, from the back of the grid. We also saw Dan Martin get a third, which was a bit I didn't expect actually going, looking into the last few laps, because I believe he was sixth for a long time. And I saw him on third and I was like,
Yeah,
well,
I remember our director pulling up the lower third, said he was like 6th or 7th in AM. I was like, oh, he's quite deep in the pack. But then in those last couple of laps, he must have been a man on a mission, because it seemed like he got his way through the field and finished in that 3rd place. So it was Benjamin Gregory that finished 2nd, by the way, and I believe it was Mark Johnson that took the race, the class win, even though it's not really a win, because again they're all competing for the same points. So I'll let the AM drivers take the glory in saying that they're winners for their classes, but yeah, obviously with what was going on at the front, we didn't really have time to cover what was going on with the AM drivers. But it's another solid finish for Ben Gregory, though, especially considering his position coming into today.
Yeah, that's going to extend his championship lead again. We saw the issues for Stephen Daly earlier on in the race, which was we didn't get a replay of it, I don't think, but it's not been a good it's not been a good past 4 races for him, really. Along with all the Belle Isle races, never seemed to go his way. And this is the hardest point in the season for a driver of who's well capable of challenging for the championship. He's had a really good start to the year in this series. It's just about keeping the belief in himself to be able to still win these races in the SAM Championship, and then converting that and really trying to stay out of incidents, as sometimes it's not always in your hands, but you can do things to prevent it. So if you can stay out of incidents from now, try and make up some good places in this final race, maybe to get a lucky reverse grid, still well within his grasp to go for the title. He's just got to keep himself calm and really focused on what he can do, and forget what's happened in these last 4 races.
Yeah, I think that would be the approach that would be suitable here. It's just try and get them out of their minds, but that's easier said than done.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, even if you're not actively consciously think about it, subconsciously you can't get it out of your head. So it is very, very tough to overcome, which is why a lot of the top guys in the Porsche Esports, Tiger Esports Super Cup, for example, a lot of those teams have like sports psychologists that they have on call and can see and things like that, and to try and work on these issues. These guys, not so much. So dealing with it on your own is relatively tough. But that's just the state of sim racing at the moment, when it is so competitive in something that might not necessarily be a World Championship series. But we saw the racing that was going on here. Even though it's not, we had as entertaining, if not even more entertaining races than we see with the top guys.
Yeah, I mean, that's the nature of the racing in the cars, I think. Obviously, it's always good to watch really, really high-level stuff, but often when it's so high-level, people make less mistakes. In a car that's probably harder to follow, then you tend to get a bit duller racing. But it's what's always going to happen when you have people that are so close. With these touring cars today, it's a great series to develop a lot of racecraft, because a lot of people who've done track driving before track days, you learn how to drive around a track, you learn the basic principles of lines and everything like that, but you don't learn racecraft. Racecraft is something you take from maybe karting as a kid, if you were lucky enough to do that, or maybe a little bit of rental karting with your friends at some point. But racecraft is so important, especially for races like this, like we saw with Guinness at the front. Just getting caught up in battles, losing a bit more time than you'd want to, and then all of a sudden, he's finished. What was it? I think 10th. When realistically, easily had the pace for top 4, if not second. Really, it was only Harrison that seemed to have the pace. So racecraft is what a lot of these guys have to learn, or do end up learning, especially in a car like this where it's so easy to race and drive close with. And like you mentioned with the mental fortitude earlier, a strong mentality and self-belief goes a massive way in racing. It doesn't matter what sort of racing you're doing. If you believe in yourself and you've got that focus and you're not doubting anything at any point in time, you're always going to be faster. It's just how it goes. It's the people that have the strongest mentalities are always the guys that achieve the most.
Yeah, I think so too, and that's it is a great note to at least end this little discussion on, because we do have about a minute remaining before we get ourselves into race number 2. It's taken a little bit of time to get this one set up, but we are in things now. And, well, of course, track conditions are, as ever, just that little bit different. 33 degrees on the track temperature now, which... of course, we mention it basically every single race meeting, Will, but it's always worth mentioning the track conditions here because they do factor in. Even in short races such as this one, it can, you know, give you the edge. You know, a tyre preservation, or at least slight amount of tyre preservation, can give you the edge at the end of 20 minutes. And even in the series that you race, Will, in the Porsches, it can also be a factor as well.
Oh, massively. The tyre wear on those Porsches is not fun to deal with. But it's the same with these cars. You know, the iRacing tyre model doesn't like to be slid at all at any point in time. It likes to be kept under control, keeping the surface temperatures under control. Obviously, hotter track, higher surface temperatures, more temperature build-up, makes it harder to drive, less grip, more sliding. It's all one of those things where it compounds. And it really is important to know because a lot of people don't realise sometimes that the temperatures make a massive difference in lap time.
Yeah, and well, it's just a vicious cycle with all the sliding around, especially if you get yourself involved in incidents where you've almost looped it and did a big drift or something like that. You're just putting an unnecessary heat cycle through the tyres. But let's have a look at the starting grid then for race 2. It is a reverse grid. It's Jamie Rushworth on pole position with James Holman in P2, with Brendan Guinness starting 3rd, with Damien Owen Harris in 4th, Morgan Butler 5th, Esteban Rodriguez in 6th place, Wojciech Sawidowicz in 7th, with Ross McFarlane P8, Steen Ledger, Jürgen Frankenstein, Stolzenberg and Kieran Harrison round out the top 12 starters. Everyone else lines up exactly where they finished in race number 1. So we cycle them very quickly through. There's the contingent of AM drivers in the mid-pack, and then of course we do have potential back of the grid penalties to also serve in race 2 as well, which is why you might see some drivers a bit out of position compared to where they were in race number 1. But we've got about 7 seconds now before we race our way down in towards Abbey Farm and Village once again here at the Silverstone International Circuit for race meeting number 8 of the World Touring Car Series, race number 2 about to get underway. There's Jamie Rushworth on pole position. Let's see if he can try and convert that into a good points finish. We are racing here once again at Silverstone, and it was a sluggish start from James Holman as Corentin Guina is almost already getting himself up into P2, and in fact he is clear coming through Abbey. That's so we've seen an instant there. Neil Ferrier off the circuit as we return back towards the very front of the field. Holman still trying to get to the inside of Guinness. He's not letting P2 go away without a fight, although Guinness might just have this one on lockdown if he can get himself onto the hangar straight in one piece.
Yeah, again, another really good start from Guinness, like we predicted. But Rushworth got away well. Got a little bit of a gap here. 0.7 of a second is esteban to work with for the time being. You know, he's obviously we've got some other cars coming through further back, and maybe wanting to try and help his teammates out a little bit as well, of Esteban Rodriguez and Ross McFarlane. As we see, oh god, that is really wide for Esteban Rodriguez on the exit there. That will definitely be a slowdown. Yeah, it's really hard to get in a slowdown, especially on the first lap, because on the first lap it's always more than any other lap because the game doesn't have a clear reference to give you it against, so it's always a little bit more. So slowdowns on the first lap is never something you want to end up getting.
Oh, Steen Ledger just got a big moment coming through the final corner, and now they're 3 wide, 4 wide. Look at the very bottom from the shot there. 3 wide into turn number 1. That's not going to work, folks. They all save it because front-wheel drive touring cars nail the throttle, the car comes back around, but still maintaining the 3 wide in towards Village. Bram Van Putten's involved in it on the outside. Jürgen Frank in the middle. Torres getting stuck into this as well. It's yet more chaos here in race number 2 of the World Touring Car Series. Battles further back in the pack as well. Gregory actually almost gets himself turned around. You can see him getting out into the gravel there. That was your AM-class leader. AM-class P2. And someone, Simar Seagar, hit heavy into the wall. Armes again. Well, he called it in the chat, didn't he?
Oh, it's really unlucky. We might get to see a replay, but he's gone for the move on the inside, and then a little bit of net code has caused it to get the car turned around from I think it was Neil Stevenson he was passing. Again, really unlucky situation.
Stolzenberg slid back through the order as well. He's 14th place at the moment. Look at this, 2 by 2 on the way through Club Corner. Stolzenberg and Kortum are the ones going wheel to wheel at the moment into turn number 1. Rafael Drage, who are on board with, just tries to sling it down and inside there, but not able to. Kortum getting himself a good run in towards Village. He can try and send it to the outside here, get that big wide arc through, potentially make a move happen in through basically the wider version of the loop before we go through what's basically Chapel at that point. There we go. I figured out the name for it. As we go, well, Dominic Kortum didn't get the run required off of that corner and just lost it by.
Yeah, but a big send for the full send car to the inside through turn number 5 there. Still not able to make the move, but definitely quite aggressive at the start of this race. But we've what we like to see, fighting Stolzenberg as well. He's we saw how fast he was in qualifying and in race 1. So, definitely shows how close everyone is here today.
Clibbon is out wide and will take the slowdown penalty as the punishment for that one, as it's all congested in through the Vale chicane. Saw Craig Williams and Rob Turner go side by side, and they're continuing with their side by side as well. But basically, I could say side by side for everyone up and down the field here at the moment, and everyone's definitely getting involved with each other on the way down in towards turn 1. That was the pack led by John Roberts. There's actually Roberts just gone straight across as we had a change to the race lead potentially. That's or at least an active change to the race lead. Quentin Guinness getting himself past Jamie Rushworth, and now Guinness' task is to, well, 1, defend into Stowe, and now 2, run for the hills, trying to get as much of a gap as possible.
Yeah, it was right on the outside through Village, set the move up round Abbey, on the outside of Village, held it through the kink of turn 4, and got the better drive off 5. Another incident for Marcel Frisch. Not sure what happens there. Looked to be crabbing a little bit as we look back towards the lead battle. Now, really, for Guinness, it is to run away. Needs to run away as we see him pick up really over the curbs there. It's got his teammate behind him, Ross McFarlane. I'm sure there will be no team orders whatsoever there. McFarlane is faster than you. Coming through on the radio potentially, but yeah, it seems to be all good racing between the Pure Sims guys. I've actually not seen them ever let up position to their teammates, but it does seem that McFarlane's got to the inside after the moment that Butler had. Owen Harris also trying to get that move done. Butler holds off well. Now it's side by side with Svidovic and Owen Harris through turn number 5. Again, really good racing like we've seen all through the night so far.
Yeah, it's respectful for touring cars is probably what I'll say here at the moment. Svidovic getting himself a potential line here into Stowe Corner, trying to optimistically send it around the outside. Instead, he'll tease with the back bumper of Damien Harris. But Harris is able to keep himself ahead for now on the way down in towards the Vale. There's the, surprise move potentially by Kieran Harrison, just sending it to the outside through Vale. And
the move on the brakes there was unbelievable. Like, it brakes so late, Harrison, into the club section. That was a crazy good move. It looks probably we didn't quite see it from our cameras, but the late braking there from Harrison was absolutely fantastic. And into 7th, only 3.5 seconds off the lead. Obviously, Guinness have got that gap, and Harrison has to catch through a few more, but yeah, definitely able. Yeah, we're seeing a big battle for P2 here.
Yeah, James Holman actually getting through on Rushworth. Actually, well, McFarlane basically followed through in Holman's tyre tracks there to also gain that position. So 2 positions lost in the space of 2 corners, basically, for Jamie Rushworth there. Not exactly ideal, but then again, he was reverse good pole position sitter, so you can only hang on for so long potentially in this situation. What's going on behind Harrison? Going for a move right at the back there. It looks like he's been able to get it done.
I was watching that. I was on Harrison's cam, and it reminds me a lot of the move that we saw last week. Remember for the race lead where Guinness just absolutely sent it on McFarlane and got it stopped really well. Again, like a carbon copy at a completely different corner. Fully sent it in, Harrison, and it looked like it was no problem for him. It was a fantastic move on Damien Owen Harris.
It was, and well, our attention goes towards the very front of this train at the moment, because there's Holman trying to defend from McFarlane. McFarlane just goes for the lunge and is able to gain the position over the RB Sim Sport car. So that gap, well, that McFarlane's trying to chase to Guinness at the moment. Well, that stands, if you bear with me for a moment, 1.86 seconds is the gap between McFarlane and Guinness now. That's the gap between P1 and P2. With 12 minutes to go, it's a surmountable gap, but I wouldn't be the one to be the car chasing here at the moment, as Harrison sent it again. Yes, he has. It towards the corner.
Oh my word, he's on a mission.
Yeah.
What a mission Harrison's on today. Yeah, but you definitely wouldn't say he couldn't get second place here. Got a few Pure Sims car ahead of him to protect him from Ross McFarlane. But yeah, really good charge for the field. You know, massive contrast to what we saw last week at Belle Isle, because there was just no overtaking. Almost.
Yeah.
Well, it was no overtaking, but even the fast guys who were really, like the two SimRC cars there pulled 4, 5, 6 seconds on the rest of the field, and they were only maybe able to get to 6th in the first small reverse grid. Looking towards the inside again, you never quite know when Harrison's going to send it at this rate, because he seems to be able to brake far better than everyone else for some reason. Yeah,
he's definitely worked something out, hasn't he? And so now onto the hangar straight. He's following at the basically perfect distance to be able to make a lunge into Stowe Corner. It would be 3 times, not lucky, but 3 times in a row for Kieran Harrison with a move into Stowe. He looks to the outside this time around, which might be the tougher option, although he will get himself a line off the corner to then make the lunge into Vale instead. And he does find the outside. And if he's able to hang on to it, it gives him the inside for the remaining corners. And, well, it looks like he's got this sign sealed and delivered, to be honest. There we go. Got the pass done on Jamie Rushworth. Morgan Butler's trying to stick his nose in there with a bit of an opportunistic move as well. Another position for Kieran Harrison. I think 4 positions and 4 laps, I think I counted.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when we watch, I'm sure some of our viewers who's especially watching this will have seen British touring cars. You know, across the weekend they have 2 sets of compounds, and one of the races they have to run soft tyres. I feel like that's happened for Harrison here. I feel like he's on some soft tyres, because he just seems to have that just a little bit more grip than everyone else. That car must be set up absolutely perfectly here today as we watch a replay. A few hands getting tangled up. That's never going to end well. Oh, dearie me. Williams round the outside. That's a lot of cars overtaking in a rather tight section there.
Indeed it is. Continuing on with the replay here, seems like Ben Gregory might have gotten himself involved. Oh, this was like super early on in the race, I think, as there was Gregory almost getting himself turned coming out of the corner onto the straight there. Here's what happened to Nathan Armes, and well, he said he'll potentially be getting another DNF here in race 2. He said that in our YouTube chat, and it seems like it has come true as he gets wrapped across the nose.
Yeah, again, I think that's really unlucky. It's because the nature of the corner is that the other driver has to come back out in order not to run on the grass. I don't think Ames didn't give enough room, but I think with the net code that iRacing sometimes has, depending on the connection to the server, it's just caused a contact there.
Yeah, it has, but that's the nature of internet racing, I suppose. Here was the incident that we saw with Clibbons, who gets almost turned around fully, and then further forwards we had Dan Blackwell as well get tagged from behind by one of the RD cars there and sent onto the grass, and well, way off the circuit, I guess. Back to the live pictures though, because by the way, Harrison's made another pass. He's got past James Thompson now.
Surprise.
So away from the cameras, he has been able to climb himself up into a podium finish.
I believe Guinness has made a mistake at some point. I don't know. I can't quite see it. It was 1.8. It's now 7/10. McFarlane's a lot closer.
That was Ben Gregory. Well, Ben Gregory's view of Carl Johnston and Rob Sutherland on their way through the Vale as Sutherland chops across the nose of Carl Johnston. Johnston have an option to come back at him potentially for the first sector as we look further forwards. Those are your leaders, if I get my grammar correct. Guinness and Ross McFarlane. Those are the front two right there, and McFarlane, well, secured in the slipstream now, and the draft is the great equalizer between drivers. And well, this is actually the first 1v1 potentially that we've seen between Guinness and McFarlane that we've had in a very long time.
Yeah, and I think it's increasingly likely. I think for whatever reason, Guinness is struggling over the course of a race stint. I think one lap pace is absolutely there. I think this Veloster clearly seems to be wearing its tyres a little bit more, at least for Guinness, because his pace in obviously McFarlane now has the toe, which is obviously going to help him quite a bit. But his pace, especially compared to Harrison, seems to drop off towards the end of the race, where potentially, like I said, a bit higher tyre wear. You know, it's maybe the provision for this higher temperature in this second race, because tyre wear will be higher due to the higher temps. We're looking back at one of the Pure Sims SimLab cars. It's Esteban Rodriguez, who's right on the back. Got quite a few cars really close there, actually. I think it's Jürgen Frank behind Esteban Rodriguez and Svidovic, all chasing each other down. Maybe we're going to see a little send here, not quite. None of them have got their Kieran Harrison hat on today, or at the moment. We see the battle for the lead.
Yeah, and well, McFarlane going up against Quentin Guinness for the race win. We've had a couple of rounds that we've been starved of this particular battle, but it's great to see these guys back in the same, well, back near the same piece of track as each other, I suppose, in these final 6 minutes that we have to run. And McFarlane looking very strong at this stage, it seems, here at the moment. He was a couple of tenths of a second faster on that last lap alone compared to Guinness. So Guinness struggling at this stage of the race. He's got 5.5 minutes to try and hold on to this one, though. But that's going to be a very big ask, especially even from a driver with his ability.
Well, you've got to think, not only does he have to hold off McFarlane, he then has to lose not enough time that Harrison catches, who's catching already.
Oh, and towards Stowe Corner, there's the send around the outside for Ross McFarlane. It is a battle for the race lead here. They make contact coming off the corner, sends both of them wide. Oh, that's definitely not going to be appreciated. Guinness actually gets himself a slowdown penalty as a result, and here comes Kieran Harrison. Oh, my word, we've seen him make all the passes so far today, and it seems like, you can't count him out for a race win in this race.
Like we said, Harrison is absolutely on it, and yeah, both of them getting a slowdown there. Bit more marginal for Guinness, but yeah, if you run wide there, it's a slam dunk slowdown. In a contact that we saw, I'm not really sure who you'd put it on, really. A little bit of net code, but that's internet racing, like we say. And now we've got a three-way fight for the lead, if not four, with the RD SimSport car keeping pretty close.
Yeah, I'm definitely rubbing my hands together at the moment, because it seems like the racing gods have delivered us a potential grandstand finish amongst three drivers. We thought we were only going to get it amongst two, but I'll definitely take more third parties here in this one, as McFarlane's not as close heading his way down in towards Stowe as he was on that previous lap, and now he has the added factor of Kieran Harrison in his wing mirrors, applying the pressure. He's the meat in a Sim RC sandwich at the moment, which is no one's idea of a good time. And I think I stole your term there, Will.
Yeah, I was just thinking that, because I think I used it last week. I was like, why not use it again? And you said it just before I thought, and I was about to say it. But yeah, no, definitely the meat in the Sim RC sandwich. I wouldn't like to be in this sandwich, especially in touring car racing. Two of the most, well, all three of them very good in touring cars. McFarlane is a bit more of an all-rounder, does a number of cars as we see them coming into the third corner here. Very close.
Around the outside. Oh, around the outside of Village. Oh, has he been able to make this one work? If he can get himself a good line through Chapel as well, then potentially the run might be on, but that is very wide coming through that corner, I think. That has backfired a little bit for Ross McFarlane. It has. He's getting himself a slowdown penalty in the late stages of this race due to by going so wide through that corner. Now it's the two Sim RC cars that lead this race. It's a massive slowdown penalty, it seems, for Ross McFarlane, as he's now lost the position to Holman. As we see 3 wide further back in the pack. This is involving Putton, Torres, and Frank, I believe. Torres out into the grass. Is he able to avoid the Armco? I think he has. Yet more battles being triggered further back in the pack as well. Oh, we're getting a repeat at the end of race 1 here, I get the feeling.
It all seems to just absolutely kick off here at the Silverstone circuit. You know, these cars, as soon as they have any form of rear contact, we saw it, if you remember, maybe remember back if anyone watched it to the Raw event at the start of the year, we saw a lot of incidents while bump drafting there, because whenever there's any contact for these cars, we've seen McFarlane sent it to the inside of turn number 3 on the RD SimSport car of Holman, able to get that move done in turn number 5. Yeah, so like I was saying, any bump drafting, any rear contact, these cars are really, really light on the rear ends, and you can see it just sometimes they just turn, and we see people get knocked out very easily.
Here we go,
Harrison to the lead.
Yeah, Harrison down the inside at Stowe corner over his teammate of Corentin Guinness. Guinness will still try to fight that one around the outside, not going to give up this race win without a fight, even though he is up against his teammate. Harrison continuing the long way around at the first part of the Vale as, Guinness not able to hold on to the car. Potentially he'll get a better run off though, but the run is stalled by Harrison being in the way. And now across the line they come with 2 to go.
That was so close. In the back of their minds, they're thinking they don't want to let McFarlane back into this battle, but that was really close on the exit there between Guinness and Harrison's rear bumper, and that I wouldn't want to see the aftermath in the SimRC Discord if that had happened. But yeah, Harrison's got the lead, and what a surprise! 12th place. I mean, he's been so good in this race with the moves, but still a chance here for Guinness if he can keep the pace up that Harrison's able to provide. But we're looking at the first race, you'd think that maybe Harrison would have this in the bag.
Yeah, potentially is. Harrison getting himself up into the race lead after what has been a very active race for him. There's the fighting further back in the pack. That's the 57 of Mark Johnson and Jaroslav Sebula out into the grass there down the hangar straight. I'm pretty sure that's not the line down through there. Mark Johnson, though, going for a move on Dan Martin. It's important for AM points, remember. There we go, AM race lead happening right on your screens. Mark Johnson through to inherit that one, but Dan Martin's not going to give this one up whatsoever either. Time has expired. Leaders have crossed the line, so it will be 1 more to go for these guys.
Yeah, I was watching that battle then for the lead that I thought, and then I realised that Rob Turner had the both of them at Village that we didn't quite see. So down at Village, Rob Turner's just gone past all of them while starting 28th to 18th there. So Rob Turner's got the lead. Watching the lead battle for Pro here, looks like Harrison's got enough of an advantage, you would think. McFarlane's managed to close back up. It's a little bit of a stalemate right now here on this last lap. Unless we see some form of incident for any of the cars here, I think it's probably going to finish this way. But what a drive from Kieran Harrison. Honestly, what a drive from 12th place on this grid today. And second race as well. 1-2. Can he do 3 in race number 3? Oh, I'm not sure.
That's going to be the question, isn't it? Kieran Harrison, what a performance here in race 2. Had a bit of luck with the guys getting slowdown penalties at the very front, but he's converted on it. Kieran Harrison across the line to take another race win here at Silverstone in emphatic fashion. He's been the fastest car all day, and he looks to do the triple now on the way into race 3 as we see the battle for the AM class going on at the moment. Rob Turner comes across the line to win that one. Mark Johnson in second place in AM. Dan Martin just about holds on to his overall position there. He gets 3rd place in AM.
In a few more remaining battles here from 8th place in the AM, going around the final corner. Nothing seems to have happened there. No positions changed. Another great race, Connery. I mean, It was so much overtaking, so much action, a little bit of drama that we like to see. And I don't know what's happened there across the line, but yeah, some really good racing. And again in AM as well, we unfortunately didn't get to cover as much as we probably like to. But it shows the quality of racing here today. I mean, it's everywhere. The racing's just been so good.
Yep, it absolutely has. Well, let's take a look at the spinny wheel, because we do have to get ourselves a reverse grid pole position for race number 3. Again, we haven't had a reverse grid, full reverse grid so far here in the World Touring Car Series for Season 2. We're not going to get 15. Looks like we're going to get 24 cars as our reverse grid. That is the highest. That isn't a full one. So 24 reverse grids here. That will mean that the...
Jake Blackwell. Oh, no, I'm wrong. Sam Smith.
Sam Smith getting himself reverse grid pole position here today. Well, that's we're going to see how that one turns out. So it's going to be pretty spicy here, this third race, considering such a large reverse grid. But here are the unofficial results from race 2. Kieran Harrison, once again, a brilliant drive, taking the race win again here in race 2. It makes it a Sim RC P1-2 as well, which will help a lot in terms of the team points. Ross McFarlane with a very respectable 3rd place, with James Holman with a great performance up in 4th. We've got Jamie Rushworth in 5th as our reverse grid pole position for this second race. Morgan Butler in 6th with Esteban Rodriguez P7. Damien Harris in P8 with Wojciech Savidovic P9, and Bram Van Putten rounds out the top 10. You've got Jürgen Frank, Konstantin Stolzenberg, Steen Ledger, Dominic Corton, Rafael Drage, Alex Torres, and Craig Williams. Those are the top 17 in Pro Class. And then we have we've got Rob Turner taking the race win there. We've got Mark Johnson 2nd place. It's been a good day for Johnson in terms of category here at the moment, with Daniel Martin not having too bad of a day either, with another 3rd place finish. Overall, though, 21st goes to Jaroslav Serbia with Luke Arabia in P22. Jake Blackwell P23 with Sam Smith, Michael Blake, Ross Sutherland, Ben Gregory, Neil Stevenson, Marshall Fitch, and Nick Clibbins rounding out the top 30. And then those that didn't have the most ideal days here today: Dan Blackwell, Anders Ankerson, Sean Gardner, Harry Fox, Carl Johnson, John Roberts, Neil Ferrier, Luke Hidsley, Lee Berridge, Pete Newman at the bottom end of the top 40. And then, like I said, he called it himself in our YouTube chat, Nathan Armes with a DNF there down in 41st place. So last to first challenge once again for Nathan Armes, I would have thought. Let's see if he can get himself any positions, at least in this 3rd race. But that's the top of the tail of race number 2. Oh, I'm feeling my voice start to go already here, Will.
Yeah, it's been some really good racing, though. Obviously, I think that, from last week, it's such a contrast from last week, because I think overtaking was limited at Belle Isle, even in these touring cars where it tends to be a little bit easier. And we've just seen so many overtakes, probably more than you get in an entire, 2017 Formula One season and this weekend. But yeah, I think going into this final race, obviously we saw Armes with a DNF, showed plenty of pace, just got really unlucky with a few little incidents and also calling it himself. But I think going into these final races, if you are going to make some good positions from the back of the grid on Ames's side, is that because it's a rather it is the largest reverse grid without getting a full one. We will see what am I trying to say, that because there'll be a bit more shuffling of the pack, potentially the general pace will be lower at the front. It may be a bit easier to break through the field. We saw Ames in the first race make up 12 positions on the opening lap. If he did that again and the other movers weren't to move too much, it potentially could be in for a good result, but that's all speculation. What we do know is Harrison is on for a triple here if he can somehow pull it off from 24th on the grid.
Yeah, it would be a big ask, wouldn't it? My words, that would be a monumental achievement. But yeah, I mean, there's also the situation where this race 3 might even go 1 lap less than what we've been running in race 1 and 2, because if the guys that are starting pole position are, a second or so a lap slower than what we saw at the front of this time, then we only had about 10 seconds left at the end of that last one. So it might potentially be that we don't get the extra lap at the very end that we've been running so far. So that's one thing to factor in. It's not going to be a massive issue, but I guess the race end might be a bit more marginal here in this one compared to what we saw in race 1 and 2.
I think it's in that race then, we saw quite a bit, obviously, fast drivers at the front for the majority of the race. But I believe if it's following the format of last week, we'll have our coldest session and potentially even getting close to a night race this time out. So because the time spread between the drivers isn't so much, I imagine that 24th in these colder conditions will probably be a similar pace. And maybe if there's not much battling, I still think we'll probably make that extra lap, but that's all to find out. 16, 17 laps is still a good race distance length. And I'm really intrigued to see whether Kieran Harrison can get 3 out of 3. I don't know if we've seen drivers do it before this season. Maybe Guinness might have done it earlier in the season potentially, but it would be a really, really tall ask for Harrison to do it from 24th. But really does have the pace and the clinicalness to make those overtakes, just so decisive on the brakes, and it means that he loses so much less time because he's done this move. No corner to corner fighting, which is obviously losing lots of time. He just seems so clinical in his overtakes that it saves him a lot of time, and he probably even gains from the toe that he gets. So fantastic driving from Harrison so far.
Nathan Armes in our chat, gonna make it free from free. You heard it here first. Don't curse yourself like that, Nathan. Come on, we want to see you do the Last of Us challenge. That's what we want to be seeing.
I believe.
Interesting situation about your point about cooler track conditions here, Will. Not necessarily, given that we're starting at 3:30 in the afternoon in Sim. So
what date though? What date are we on? I'm not sure.
Oh, I didn't quite see that. I think it's potentially might be rather close to what we had. I'm just having a little bit of a gander here at the moment, and try and see what exactly the date of the session is. I think that's been messaged to me. So I'm pretty sure to say join the session to check and see. But there's no easy way for us to actually see this immediately on the thing because interesting. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, I think it's going to be... We'll obviously see when we get in. I'm really intrigued to see, because we've... Obviously, I think one of the most important / deciding factors that we've seen so far is that cars that are going side by side are slowing each other down a lot. So I think we could really see some big moves in this race. This is why I've got so much hope in seeing Harrison be able to come through.
Oh, might have accidentally joined the wrong session there.
There is another touring cars at Silverstone that I've been looking along. I'm like, that's not it. But it seems to be running at the same time. It's picking up. Obviously, you got famous Connery Maddock now to join the session, so I'm sure they're happy.
And also, it meant my timing of the sim session was also wrong. We got 1:40 p.m. potentially. Oh. Although, unless I'm just getting myself even confused at the situation, which is very, very possible. We'll just have to wait and see with regards to that. But everything should be all set up in rather short order here in the World Touring Car Series. Again, we've had 2 very, very chaotic races here today. And we potentially might even see an even crazier race 3, given that we have a bigger reverse grid, of course. We only had 12-car reverse grid here for race 2. We'll have a 24-car reverse grid for race 3, double the amount of cars reversed. There's also the potential here, Will, for a surprise winner, potentially even an AMP winner.
Potentially, although with Arabia starting 3rd position, we've got a few good pros quite high up in the mix. It could definitely happen, and I'd love to see it happen. But I think we'll need a little bit, maybe a safety car, maybe some bit of carnage, maybe a bit of battling, to maybe make that happen. But not quite sure. I still want them to all go to the Porsche Experience Centre next door and have a go on the kick plates and stuff. Because I'm looking forward to that when I eventually get in there. Yeah, you said you caught it, didn't you? I think. Yeah.
I caught it. I caught the first one. Second one, for some reason, I hit the wrong pedal and I just floored it. I just did a big loop. It was hilarious.
What car did you end up driving?
The 911 992 S. I think I'm not too familiar with my Porsche models, to be honest. So I'm just like, it was a 911 of some form. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, I mean, we had a bit of a play around as a passenger in the GT3 RS as well, which is
really nice.
Is a different beast. But yeah, the Porsche Experience Center Silverstone is fantastic. You don't get to go onto the actual circuit, but you go onto the handling circuits that they have there, and it's fantastic. I think I would have fared better if we went onto the actual Silverstone, but the thing is, Ferrari Challenge, we're having we're having time out there, so we weren't able to go out. But yeah, it was fantastic, and definitely a great first real-life experience of a performance car. Anyway, we're getting by the by here at the moment. I did spot, as I joined the correct session, that it was 1:40 p.m. in sim time.
Ooh, it's hot. Yeah. So yeah, like you said, I think the chance of getting one less lap with a 37-degree track, I believe, 23 degrees air. Yeah, I think it's going to be likely, not certain, but we'll see from the pace that these guys are going to show. You know, it'll about 5 degrees hotter than the last session. You know, first laps coming in this initial 10-minute practice before we get the race underway. There's a 10.5, which is obviously a lot slower than we saw in qualifying from Esteban Rodriguez. But I'm sure that we'll see people maybe creep into the 109s. But like you said, could be quite interesting, especially with potentially Guinness having tyre wear issues. I'm not sure about that one, but he might be having, just judging by what it seems to be a drop-off towards the end of the race for his Veloster. It's not good news.
Yeah, definitely not. But again, we've got 20 minutes for us to decide this race, and like I said, with the reverse grid, it just throws a big old wrench into the works. And again, this one's going to be quite hard to call, I would have thought, because those drivers like Guinness, like Harrison, like McFarlane are having to work their way through so many more cars at this stage, and potentially cars that they're not used to fighting as well. So, you know, sometimes that can work in their favor, because sometimes there are drivers that just let them go on their way and know that they're a second or so a lap faster than them, so there's no point in fighting. However, drivers are well within their rights to hold on to their positions despite being a second or so a lap off. So, you know, that's going to be the tough thing for Guinness and company.
Yeah, like you said, it's racing at the end of the day. You know, everyone's, with the way the points are structured, AMs are not incentivized to necessarily give up positions like it would be in other series where you split the points so that the smartest decision is not to lose times with the AMs. And you know, it's always going to, you know, everyone always gets their chance to race, and you can't blame anyone for racing, because we're all here to have fun, really, is the main goal at the end of the day. But we've seen some fantastic racing today, and I really can't wait for this third race to get underway in roughly around 3 minutes time. I'm really intrigued to see whether Harrison can make it through, but it's going to be a tough ask.
Yeah, it is going to be incredibly tough. No one is saying it's going to be simple here, especially in this series, and especially with the way these guys race. So, yeah, they're definitely going to be up against it. But some drivers revel in that situation. They you know, that's when they, you know, that's where they like being. For some of them, you know, being in these tough situations, being in situations where they have to try and make passes. You know, some drivers they just want to be off at the front and just hot lapping the entire time. But for some drivers, they want to try and practice their racecraft. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to provide a spectacle. I'm sure about that. It's going to be interesting to see, because I think some of our AND drivers, especially, Joey surprised me last race, and I need to now try and remember the name. But it was the RD SimSport car in fourth position, really held its own on pace, and actually Holman, yeah, he was well within striking distance of that battle at the end of the race, and that's after, you know, 18 laps. So I think really good driving from Holman. It's interesting to see whether, obviously not starting from as preferable a position this time by, which definitely helped him initially, but pace-wise, can he carry it through to maybe make up another good result for him in pro class? I think could be on for a good one there. And then AMS wise, all up in the air. I'm no idea when he's going to win AMS.
Am is definitely it can be decided between multiple drivers at this point. It's crazy. There's the track conditions, by the way, 37 degrees on the surface of the circuit, and well, we are basically at the hottest point of the day now, as far as I see. In sim date is 15th of May. So that does change things slightly here. Of course, the iRacing does model the seasons with regards to temperatures and average temperatures, and with regards to sunset and sunrise times as well. But we've got ourselves the checkered flag here on the practice session, so we should be getting ourselves our starting grid for race number 3 very, very shortly indeed. It will be now officially Sam Smith on pole position here for race number 3. Then we've got Jake Blackhall in P2. We've got Luke Arabia starting 3rd. We have Sebula starting 4th, with Martin and Johnson 5th and 6th. Rob Turner starts 7th, with Craig Williams in 8th. Alex Torres, Rafael Draz round out the top 10. Dominic Horton and Steen Ledger round out the top 12 cars. Then Stolzenberg, Frank, Putton. We've got Svidovic and Harris and Rodriguez rounding out the top 18 cars. It's a very large reverse grid here, 24 cars. Butler, Rushworth, Holman, McFarland, Guinness and Harrison round out those top 24 cars that did get themselves the reverse grid. Everyone else lining up exactly where they finished in race number 2. Of course, including drivers that got themselves back the grid penalties and such for race 3 as well. And Nathan Armez, lost the first challenge from P40 there on the starting grid. So drivers getting themselves ready now. In fact, they are all ready. It's a 24-car reverse grid here for race 3 of the World Touring Car Series. Race meeting number 8 at Silverstone. It is underway, and it's a lightning start from Jake Blackhall from P2. Gets himself up into the race lead in towards Abbey here for the first time of asking, as they all try and file their way through there. There's been a bit of a shoulder barging deeper in the pack there, as we see them get themselves on the brakes in towards the village corner, still side by side for the front couple of positions here for the moment, as Sam Smith tries to hold on to that second place. It was a first, remember, reverse grid pole position, but look, Arabia's trying to take that another position away from him, and they've got to all be very careful with that slowdown penalty on the outside of Chapel on lap 1 in particular.
Yeah, there was a jump start there, I believe, for Josla Kulbila. I'm sorry if I butchered your name so badly there, but also stopping now after that first lap. So I think maybe an issue with equipment potentially, it looks like, and they've returned to the pit lane. A really good start from Craig Williams. Fantastic. Went really, really up the inside, down into Abbey, and I think he's now in 7th or 6th position.
Well, we just saw Rob Turner getting to the side of Sam Smith at the front of the field. We've got Craig Williams trying to get the precision done on Dan Martin as well, and has successfully been able to. So decent moves being made here in the early stages. Turner's up 3 spots already, same with Craig Williams as well. And there might be more positions on the cards, because Sam Smith has gone wide through the exit of turn 1 and actually forces Rob Turner out onto the grass. Hopefully he gets this one stopped in towards Village, and he has, but this is a good opportunity for the Audi of Craig Williams to try and get himself involved here. Turner finds the inside for Chapel, is ascended behind from Alex Torres as well through this very tricky exit. Make sure you don't push too wide, because I already mentioned slowdown penalties are afoot, and a few drivers actually got one on lap number 1 as Neil Stevenson out into the grass. There's the continuing on battle though. Turner as one of our AM drivers going up against Sam Smith, another one of our AM drivers. The battle for the AM class lead, but it's also a battle for 3rd place.
Yeah, it's really close here, and they've slowed each other up a lot though this lap. I think Craig's finally got that move done against Sam Smith, you know, dropping back initially as you would kind of expect with that reverse grid. Oh, that's a contact between two Elantras. Marcel Frisch and not sure who else won the boosted cars. Barrett. I think that's definitely coming through. Stowe there, they've clearly got some bump-to-bump contact like we've seen a couple of times. Craig Williams, the only Audi, into 4th position. Got quite an ask of 3.7 seconds to get up to the lead, but definitely showing some really good pace at the start of this race. And good start. Alex Torres makes some contact with Sam Smith. That's one of the Sim RC cars of Jürgen Frank coming through from 14th position starting. Torres up the inside, bit of contact through turn number 5. Is that going to be a slowdown for Smith? I'm not sure. I think he might be all right. Frank's got that position, I think. We've seen an RD Sim Sports car. James Holman, showed such good pace in the last race.
Smith might have just gotten away with it as they get themselves in towards Stowe Corner. Smith still on the outside. There's a barge behind, though, between Torres and Dan Martin. Dan Martin very quickly into the middle of the corner as Sam Smith is losing all these positions at the moment, not able to hold on to the positions that were gifted to him. From the reverse grid, someone's gone for the absolute send there down the inside of the Vale. That was Stolzenberg just completely mugging off. What was that? Let me count it. It was 3 drivers in one move.
I need to have a look at that again. That was an absolutely... that was sensational, that move. I've just seen that on a replay camera. I'd love to have another angle of that if our producer can find it. That was sensational. And yeah, it's living up to it so far, this race. Just cars passing each other every left, right and centre.
This is what a 24-car reverse grid does to the race, I suppose. 4 minutes into this race, here's a replay of potentially Stolzenberg's move. You can see him right back in the pack there, gets himself to the inside of the Vale and just goes down and in and somehow gains all the spots.
And stops it really well as well. It wasn't reckless, it was just a really good move. Well, Craig Williams has made it up into 3rd position now, ahead of Rob Turner. We've got the cars battling behind. I believe that's Alex Torres. The RD Sim Sports cars with Dan Martin, Savidovic as well, McFarlane. Oh, it's all kicking off. This is crazy.
It is indeed. Dan Martin now falls back into the battle with Stolzenberg. Stolzenberg gets a good run through the club corner and across the line he goes and is able to maintain that P10 overall for the moment here. It's very hard sometimes to try and keep track of things, especially with the reverse grid this large. And everyone all jumbled up, and well, more positions potentially being changed here at the moment because Savidovic going around the outside of Torres and, well, gets himself to the inside now for the loop and now outside for Chapel. Be so careful once again that you don't take this track out too much. Looks like Savidovic has been able to get away with that one though, but it's going to be a bit of a drag race here down the Hanger Straight. You've got Ross McFarlane all of a sudden somehow involved in this race. We've got 14 places that he's been able to gain here at the moment if he gets past Savidovic, but it seems like Torres is a bit of a cork in the bottle here at the moment.
Yeah, and we've got Harrison as well on the back of this battle, battling with Sam Smith, our pole position winner. As we go down into club, Alex Torres on the inside again. We've got, then it's the inside for McFarlane. He seems to have got the run through there. Is that going to be Stolzenberg looking towards Torres? Not quite able to get his nose in. Little bit of contact just behind there between Harrison and the RD Sim Sport car of Dan Martin. Guinness has come onto this scene behind. This is crazy.
Stolzenberg, he got a good run through Abbey there, almost ran into the back of Torres, has to lift out. That gives also a bit of ground to Savidovic as the two go wheel to wheel through through Village, excuse me, and then through the loop, and Stolzenberg's being able to clear that one. But there's the surprise move from Alex Torres, sending it to the inside through Chapel. They're 2x2 coming through the corner, and the cars on the outside actually got themselves a good run that time around. Savidovic getting himself through on, at least defended from Harrison, and now he's been able to get himself alongside Torres on the way down in towards Stowe Corner. The two Sim RC cars behind, Guinness and Harrison, going side by side and thinking, how am I going to deal with this wall of cars in front of me, because they're going side by side every lap.
Torres shows absolutely no desire to give this one up easily, but he does seem to have been finally gotten the best of the rubbing doors with Harrison. God, that was really close in the exit, but that's now, I don't know, 9th for Harrison, up from 24th. 11 seconds back though on the lead 2 cars who really have ran away, Blackhall and Rabia.
Yeah, indeed they have. They've been able to avoid all of this chaos going on behind them. Jürgen Frank actually continuing the fight with Craig Williams. There's the ball fighting with Guinness and Torres there. The Sim RC cars there, at least back there, have to be careful with the bits of damage. And that is perhaps a lunge one too many for Alex Torres, as they'll both get themselves a major slowdown penalty now as well, in amongst all of this pack in the mid-pack, as meanwhile Putton and Williams and Frank are continuing to fight further forwards.
I believe that may have been a small bit of retaliation, because it looks like, so Guinness has made a move, fair move, but a little bit of contact on the apex, and then Torres has thrown it back in from very far back. But in fairness, I think it's a little bit too far back for me, but Guinness did turn across. But yeah, it's a hard one to call, and then that's really going to slow Guinness's progress down in this race, especially with McFarlane so far up the order.
Oh, that was a big
Is that Smith?
Yeah, it is Sam Smith. Oh, he was trying to hold on to so many positions thanks to reverse grid pole position, and there might be more issues here. Back in the pack, I believe. Yeah, that's Morgan Butler, 16th in pro class at the moment. There's more battling between Williams and Van Putten as well, further up the order. It's really hard to try and keep an eye on everything at the moment, because it seems like almost every single position is contested. There's Benjamin Gregory involved in this battle pack as well. But yeah, there's a great fight going on between Williams and Van Putten here at the moment.
Yeah, Williams has been trying to hold on. I think a little bit of he's getting a bit caught out because he didn't have the quite as clean start as the two leading cars, because starting in 8th position, it just means that he's now getting caught up in those battles, which cost a lot of time, which is just further extending that lead gap and further pushing him back into the faster cars, which started quite far down in this race.
Yeah, at Blackhall and Arabia, they're just running away here at the moment. They've got about 6 seconds back to the cars further behind them, so it's been a very good day for them. There's a huge amount of congestion here back in the pack. There's a slow car as well as Sam Smith, as he tries to potentially get himself back to the pit lane at this point, because he has been battered and bruised, I would have thought, here in this one. But yeah, we've got ourselves, well, less than halfway. So, oh, there's a sense. Sorry, excuse me. I just got myself distracted a little bit. There's Damon Owen Harris and Nick Clibbons fighting wheel to wheel. But the thing is, Clibbons didn't get himself a good run. So there is Neil Ferrier working his way through on the outside instead.
Yeah, it's important to note with Harris that, you know, the SimRC guys are wanting to get a good result as well, because he's also tied in with that SimRC team being the lone.
Oh, Karina Guinness.
Guinness again?
Guinness is off into the gravel of the Stowe corner. Another incident, and it's with Torres again.
So I'm watching this back now. Oh, I think that's yeah, okay. I think that's Guinness is out now. I think I'm not sure if he's going to be able to. He's still in the race, but 31st position, I should say. We've gone massively wrong. So we watch it here into Stowe. Guinness on the inside line. Torres just turns in, and with how easy it is, these cars are light on the back end. It's going to cause Guinness to spin, and that's that really for Guinness. I mean, he's got into 30th now, but massive point damage limitation now for the rest of this race.
Yeah, that's huge, and it again goes in the favour of McFarlane. McFarlane's not making the most of it, given that he's running in 6th place here at the moment. Although, saying that, credit where credit's due, he's up 16 on the day, so I can't really be too critical of that one. But McFarlane needs to, given these situations, he needs to be finishing top 3, I have to argue, to reel in that points gap in any effective way. Yeah,
but it is a hard one. Like you say, he only started 2 places. You know, he's 2 places ahead of Harrison, who also started 2 places further back. He's done a decent job up to this point. We've still got 7 minutes 51 to go. I wouldn't say he's not going to get any more places. I think he'll definitely have a shot maybe at Jürgen Frank. Definitely going to be able to have a go at Williams and Bram Van Putten. So it's still good points for McFarlane, and it could be a deciding point in the championship of where McFarlane maybe is just able to claw that points advantage back.
Just over 100 points was the gap coming into today. I get the feeling that margin would be just, I was going to say just a little bit smaller, perhaps considerably smaller, considering the issues that Guinness has had here in race 2 and indeed race number 3 as well. So this is a good opportunity for McFarlane to be able to keep himself in this championship at this point, because there have been certain points along the way so far where the championship has been, looking massively in the favour of Guinness. But with a couple of races like we've had today, that's going to make things a bit closer. That's going to have Guinness worried slightly as we see the ultimate send from Van Putten there. He's never going to make that corner, is he? And Williams was aware of it and actually allows him the space to make that mistake. And now he falls back in the clutches of McFarlane.
Yeah, it gives McFarlane a chance. Williams is using the toe really cleverly to get McFarlane and Putin fighting potentially. To the inside. Oh, that was close. Oh. I thought he was about to send it, but not quite for Ross. He's losing a lot of time here, though, because, now he's got Harrison. Ding dong. Harrison's here, ready to make another amazing send from the outside. His braking maneuvers.
Simultaneously, his teammate Van Putten also got to the inside of Craig Williams as well. And Harrison's got the move done on McFarlane, by the way. Standout performer here at Silverstone is Kieran Harrison, pulling moves. I'll go with the PG version, pulling moves left, right, and centre at this point, and it seems like there was no stopping him. And he's got his teammate Van Putten ahead, going to go for the move again. Second time in a row he's tried that, Will, and he's again completely bottled it, and has now allowed his teammate through for the free position.
Yeah, that was another really brave move. I think he's been watching what Harrison's doing, and he's not quite able to get the braking technique down yet. But again, free position for Harrison. Now gets to go at Williams. I wouldn't say Williams is going to be able to stop the Kieran Harrison train at this rate with how good he's been making the moves. But Williams holds it really nicely around the outside. Doesn't get out-braked by Harrison as they go down into the final section of this Silverstone International lap. Harrison round the outside, gets the inside for Club, or next one's Club, I should say. And that is Van Putten onto the through now.
Opportunistic.
Yeah, but a little bit of side-to-side contact going down towards Abbey. So might have the move done there, but I think Williams will get another chance. Meanwhile, McFarlane's having to sit there and kind of just watch almost what's happening here.
Yeah,
Williams,
sorry, I got myself away in it. Ross McFarlane. Almost an instant between Williams and Van Putten there, coming in towards the Chapel corner. Looks like they've been able to gather it up, though. It's easier to do here in these touring cars, given, like I mentioned before, you mash the throttle, it sorts itself out in most cases. But McFarlane now looking to try and gain these spots as well, and gets himself towards the inside on Williams, as Williams was trying around the outside of Van Putten there. It's a very chaotic moment here, at least for this battle for P5, 6, and 7. McFarlane angling to the inside, trying to follow through in the tyre tracks of Van Putten, but not successful in doing so. A couple of different lines being taken through Club Corner. McFarlane getting himself to the inside of the final corner as well. That's going to leave him in good stead as long as he can maintain the overlap for Abbey and getting himself a good run in towards Village. Let's see what happens here. Stolzenberg looking threatening behind as well. McFarlane, he can't quite maintain. Oh, he has actually been able to maintain the overlap here. He gets himself down the inside at Village. This has put him in a much better position now, and he does get himself ahead. Stolzenberg also trying to make his impact in the race.
Yeah, but not ideal there for McFarlane, because he's lost a lot of time despite being obviously ahead of Harrison going into that battle. It's cost him a lot of time. It's potentially cost him any chance at third or fourth position here. So it's looking maybe fifth is the best place that McFarlane can get here today. Still a sizable advantage over Guinness, who's made himself way back up to 24th as we watch. I think that's Savidovic and Stolzenberg going side by side down to the final section, trying on a Kieran Harrison as Savidovic got the inside. It takes a large amount of curb, and that's unfortunately killed his drive through the final corner.
indeed it has. And well, Stolzenberg will take that all day long P8 here at the moment. All of a sudden, we've got 2 minutes left to go. Time flies when you're having fun here in the World Touring Car Series, and we certainly had a whole bunch of fun. I hope the drivers have as well, at least the ones that haven't gotten themselves involved in too many incidents here today. Jake Blackwell, by the way, he has been this race leader all this time pretty much, from the drop of the green flag. Got himself a fantastic start, got himself through on Sam Smith, and now maintains a 1.2, it will become a 1.4 second gap potentially, back to Luke Rabia. Yeah,
I mean, if we were just taking it on our race,
he started to have a little bit of the blinky issue though. That's never good.
No, hopefully. Yeah, his ping is 400 right now, so hopefully that can calm down a little bit. Has done a little bit to 358, but he'll be crossing his crossing fingers and toes to make sure that it doesn't cut out for him. Is that? Oh, that's gonna be close.
Yeah, McFarlane
through the final corner. Is he able to get the move done? Not quite on Bram van Putten, but again, it's the only real position he might have chance at. Coming through second corner here, into Village, got the inside line, down the inside. Can he get it stopped? Gets it stopped nicely. Move done, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, Craig had a bit of a look there. While those two guys were fighting at the front, but of the train, shall I say? But biggest mover of the day is Kieran Harrison, by the way. Obviously, he's up 20 spots compared to where he started. Plus 20 on the day for Kieran Harrison. That's a very, very impressive run indeed. And now, do we get an extra lap or not? That's the question I'm asking.
Yes. Yeah.
Because Jake Blackwell, well, he's heading his way through the final corner now. He will cross the line with about, let's see,
3 seconds.
4 seconds. Well,
4 seconds,
4 seconds, yeah. So we've got another lap here once again here at Silverstone. Another lap for them to settle their differences for fifth, sixth, seventh potentially as well. I mean, you can count a couple of other drivers in this train as well.
Yeah, I mean, still all to fight for here, really. I think the race-long battle between Bram van Putten and Craig Williams still may go on. We've got the AMPs battling here. Is that Daniel Martin and Rafael Dreisers fighting and trying with my names? Yeah, so that's just for position in general. You know, it's not for any of the AM spots. So Dan Martin doing well. Obviously started 5th, but holding his own in 13th. Oh, it would be, yeah.
Here we go. Here we go. Towards the, I'm gonna have to put in here. Oh, we've had a bit of an incident here with one of the RD Sim Sports cars. We'll cut away from that though, because we do have Jake Blackwell at the very front of the field. What an easy race. The whole thing is considered for Jake Blackwell. I don't think he would think it was easy behind the wheel managing that gap, but indeed it was. Great start for Jake Blackwell, converted into a race win here in the final race at Silverstone International for the World Touring Car Series. Luke Rabia gets himself a respectable P2. Jürgen Frank in 3rd place. Everyone else coming across the line pretty much in an orderly fashion here. Not too many battles going on here at the very end of things, in the very dying moments. As far as AM class is concerned, it's Rob Turner getting himself another AM class win. Fantastic stuff from Rob Turner. And, well, everyone else coming through in a quite cordial fashion, actually. It's kind of the opposite to what we had in Race 1 and 2. Race 3 end is a much calmer affair, it seems, as we potentially might see what happens to one of the RD Sim Sport cars. Was it Holman that was involved in the incident, or someone else? I couldn't quite tell at the time.
Have a look. I think we've got a replay here down into turn 3. Ooh, that's oh no. Oh, innocent bystander in the whisk machine there. Yeah, it's one of those ones. It's a fight between those two. They kind of squeeze each other a little bit too much. Oh, I love reverse. The reverse donuts are amazing. More people should do reverse donuts. It's a fantastic display from Jake Blackwell. Really nice form as well, I think. You know, I'm liking those.
Yeah, making them quite tight, not swinging out too far. Fantastic stuff there from the number 97. as we haven't seen, at least on the live pictures, anyone do that, the reverse donuts here so far this season. So it's great to see from Blackwell. He takes the race win, and in the Honda as well, the Honda Civic, which hasn't typically been up there and fighting, but it's fantastic to see, apart from Ross McFarlane in the early parts of the season when he was up there and fighting. But yeah, it's great to see another Honda Civic up there. Luke Rabia in P2 with Jürgen Fang P3, Kieran Harrison 4th with Ross McFarlane 5th, Bram Van Putten in 6th with Craig Williams, Konstantin Stolzenberg, Wojciech Swidovic, and Rob Turner rounds out the top 10 overall. Rob Turner, of course, AM class winner. Dominic Horton P11 with Jamie Rushworth P12, Steen Ledger in 13th with Daniel Martin 14th, Rafael Daraj, excuse me, my Polish pronunciation is not fantastic, in P15 with Morgan Butler P16, Anders Ankersen in P17, Alex Torres P18, he's been in the wars today, and we've got Mark Johnson P19 with Damien Owen Harris in P20. Then Nick Clibbens, then Quentin Guinness, P22 at the end of the race 3. That is not the position that we usually see him finishing in by any means. Neil Ferrier in P23 with Ben Gregory P24, Michael Blake P25, Carl Johnson, Sean Gardner, Dan Blackwell, Rob Sutherland, and John Roberts rounds out the top 30. Then you have Esteban Rodriguez P31, James Holman P32, Neil Stevenson P33, Harry Fox P34 with Marcel Fritsch 35th, Sam Smith in 36th, who is your reverse grid pole position setter here for race 3, but unfortunately finishes 10 laps down after retirement. Luke Kidsley P37, Nathan Armes P38, Lee Berridge, and then Jaroslav Sebula rounds out the top 40. And those are actually the only 40 starters that we had here in this event. So we lost a couple of cars there towards the end in terms of starters, but that's just what happens sometimes where people quit early. But we're definitely not quitting early here on RaceSpotTV, because we do have potential interviews to go through. We do have Morgan Butler potentially standing by, and if you don't mind, Will, I'll be having you do the interviews here today. So,
that's completely fine.
Yeah, Morgan Butler is standing by with Will Chadwick, and if Morgan can unmute his microphone, that would also be absolutely fantastic.
Well, if you can hear us, Morgan, and you can get your microphone unmuted, fantastic win there. Very dominant in the third race of our proceedings tonight. Obviously, you got the reverse grid pole, pulled away nicely, controlled it really well to Loic Rabia, and some fantastic reverse donuts there at the end. Can you give us your sort of opinions on how your third race went tonight?
He tried unmuted, but we're not hearing him. There we go. I somehow I knew this was going to happen, and somehow I thought it was a good idea. But Morgan, just PM me on TeamSpeak, and when you think you're ready, and we can drag you in. But yeah, I mean, at least for Morgan, where did he finish here in this one? I'm just having a look further down the order. But yeah, he's.
I was on the wrong driver completely, weren't I?
Oh, wait.
I was thinking about Jay. Yeah, I was thinking about Jay. I don't know. Good job he did have his microphone muted there. But it's a good result. I remember. Yeah, no, completely wrong driver. There you go. Anyway,
we've descended into chaos here, because I was like doubting it myself as well. So I'm just gonna double check and make sure who he is.
I don't know. I think he might have got his mic working.
I'll forgive it, given that you haven't done too many broadcasts with us. And Morgan apparently in Will Chadwick land is the race winner here from race 3. Morgan, race win, fantastic, right?
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Thank you, everyone. I want to thank the team. I want to thank obviously Will for the continued support of me. I really do appreciate it. If we ignore the 14 cars ahead, they didn't count. I think
they didn't know.
That's what if we DQ them all, we DQ all of them, then I won. I think that's how it works. I'll take that.
Morgan, you won in my heart, and that's all that matters here today. But we saw you have a really good run out here today, because I think it was 5th in race 2. You performed well in race number 1 as well. Obviously, a lot harder to make up positions in that final race, starting 19th, making your way up to 16th. But the racing looked really interesting out there. Give us a bit of a feedback on how you found Silverstone International today.
Like it's an interesting layout. I think not many people really race this layout. I know it came up in Porsche Cup not long ago, and that's probably the only time I've really seen it used ever, really. But yeah, it's an interesting but fun layout for touring car racing. You know, a lot of fast corners, which is obviously difficult in these front wheel drive cars, but then also a lot of very heavy braking zones. So you know, like the chicane, turn 3, like breaking into those is, you know, prime chance for overtaking. But then you've also got, you know, half the track where you've got to just kind of sit, follow, bide your time, and wait for an opportunity to arise.
Yeah, I know we were seeing quite a lot of overtaking manoeuvres, especially in contrast to last week out at Belle Isle. I think me and Connery both agree that your Pure Sims livery is actually a little bit better than the main car, but we're not here to start any livery wars. But we do really, really like the livery, and congratulations on your results today. You did a really good job, and you won that third race in my eyes.
Well, that's the most important achievement. Yes, I've already won one race, but that doesn't matter as long as I've won in your eyes. That's the important one.
That is the important one. Thank you very much for speaking to us, Morgan.
Thank you very much.
There we go. Morgan Butler there from Pure Sims Development. Yeah, sorry, I still can't get. I won't live this down now, Will. I will tease you about it forevermore.
But we styled it off well. That's the most important thing, and Morgan loved it as well. So yeah. I think I just thought I saw a Pure Sims driver, and I thought it was our race winner, but Morgan did really well today, you know, obviously getting P5 in race 2, and thank you for him for speaking to us, even when I think he won.
Maybe it's foreshadowing. Potentially we might get to see him a race winner at Road Atlanta, I believe. Yeah, I guess they're right. Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta is going to be our next escapade here in the World Touring Car Series. That's going to be race meeting number 9 on the 6th of October. Same time, same place here on RaceSpotTV. But that will be all that we have time for here for the World Touring Car Series. We had 3 crazy races full of action here at Silverstone. Hopefully that copies on over to Road Atlanta. But here at RaceSpotTV, we will have to say good night and goodbye.